guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video, we are going to talk about Mercury retrograde. So what is Mercury retrograde in general? How can you prepare for it? What does it actually bring into the world? And also we're going to talk about what this period of time will mean for you within the next 3 weeks between November 26th and also December 15th, whilst Mercury will be retrograding in the zodiac sign of Sagittarius, what it will mean for your rising sign. So the very first part of the video, we are going to talk about Mercury retrograde and what it actually means, because there's a lot of information out there, part of it being misinformation, part of it being true. But it's essential to understand what this period of time brings, because it can actually be very beneficial if you work with it rather than against it. So Mercury retrograde is basically when, from the perspective of Earth, so from our perspective here on Earth, it looks like Mercury is moving backwards. And of course, no planets are actually moving backwards when it comes to their movement relative to the sun. They're always moving in the same direction. But because of Earth's movements, independent movements, sometimes it appears that Mercury is not going in its usual trajectory, but rather taking a few steps back. Now, from our own perspective, Mercury retrograde brings usually a period of revision when it comes to all mercurial traits. So Mercury is the planet that rules communication, media, technology. It's also the planet that rules transportation, anything that has to do with communicating, traveling, connecting with people. So there's quite a lot of things that are relevant in today's world because we're so connected via social media, via media. In general, Mercury usually brings a lot of issues or topics to be resolved when it comes to these areas of life. So on an individual level, what you may notice is that there may be some problems with technology within your home. There may be some issues with sending emails or receiving the right type of communication. Some packages may be getting lost and not arriving in time. So if you're doing your Christmas shopping, make sure that you double check all information. But there could also be wider issues at play where big technology giants could be affected by this. So usually, if Amazon servers are going down, it's almost always during a Mercury retrograde period, and all the websites are going down as well. But there could also be some mass outages that usually happen during Mercury retrograde, so technology tends to be more impacted. Cars are more likely to break down, things in the home are more likely to break down. And on a communicative level, in general, there are more likely for there to be misunderstandings. Now, I know it all sounds really bad and grave, and you're like, oh my God, so there's nothing positive about Mercury retrograde, right? Well, not really, because as we see for the case in astrology, we always see that things are not happening because the stars are making it happen, but rather because the astrology context shows it's more favorable for things that are already bad to start happening. So technology outages are not happening because Mercury is retrograde, but rather because that technology system was already weakened, and Mercury retrograde just provides a medium where we have to face these issues and resolve them. Mercury retrograde is not about creating miscommunications, but rather working on our communication style so it's more stable and it's more curated in the first place. So a lot of times Mercury retrograde is kind of like when you go to the doctor and you find out that you have an issue. You have an issue with your, blood analysis or blood sample. Mercury retrograde basically says, hey, there was already a communication issue, there was already a technology issue in this company, now it needs to be addressed and it needs to be resolved. The issue, however, is that people are also a little bit more head in the clouds when Mercury is retrograde, so their communication style also tends to be a little bit more fuzzy. So basically, if you need to use your brain, make sure that you use it at an extra capacity. If you receive an email, make sure that you double check the information within it. If you write an email, make sure that you double check for spelling. If you are sending an important email, make sure that you are attaching all of your documents. If you're working in technology, make sure that you double check if you make any errors, because it's just more likely to kind of take the fact that things are going to work for granted during this period of time. And if you're doing that, that's when they're going to fail the most. So Mercury retrogrades are also periods of time where it's an ideal time to be reviewing what works in your business, in your processes, in your family life, in your life, and what doesn't. It's not a good time to start new projects. It's not a good time to sign contracts. It's not a good time to start businesses, especially if it's a media or marketing business, because the birth chart of that company is going to be having a Mercury retrograde in its natal chart. You don't want to have that in a company that involves communication or media, which is basically any type of company these days. So basically, it is not recommended to start new activities. It's not recommended to start new companies, but it is recommended to do a review of the processes that you already have going on. If you have a business, reviewing the contracts that you already have. Do they need revisiting? Do they need any sort of adjustments? And if you have a business and you have certain products, it's about reviewing the prices, but it's not a good time to launch a new product per se. In general, Mercury retrograde reviews, so if you do modifications in your routine, in your home, this is usually very greatly appreciated by the universe, shall we say. So if you make modification during this time, they usually are meant to last. So if you use basically this period in order to be more attentive to your communication style, if you use this period of time to review your business, to review the things that you do at home, the way that you connect with people and communicate with others rather than starting new things, then Mercury retrograde is going to be turning out to be a very favorable period for you. So that's what Mercury retrograde is all about. But now let's have a look at what it means when it comes to your individual rising sign. And we're starting off with Aries risings. Aries risings, or if you have Sagittarius in your 9th house, you could be having your ascendant in Pisces, and because in Placidus your house could be larger or smaller, you could still have Sagittarius in your 9th house. So if you have an Aries rising, or if you have Sagittarius in your 9th house, Mercury will be retrograding through your 9th house. The 9th house is the house of higher learning, philosophies, and wisdom, but also international connections and contacts. So Mercury retrograding through the 9th house will bring a need for review when it comes to your philosophies, to the way that you think about life, especially because Mercury in Sagittarius is a transit that speaks about wisdom, that speaks about truth-seeking. So there could be some miscommunications when it comes to exposing the truth, or when it comes to talking about the truth. Very, very likely to experience like political propaganda during this period of time, and for you to be more susceptible or aware of it. What is really interesting is that Mercury is also not comfortable in the zodiac sign of Sagittarius. It is in detriment. So naturally, Mercury already retrograding in the zodiac sign of Sagittarius is quite a weak placement. So this is not the greatest time to join like a religious gathering, to make significant updates into your belief system, but rather to evaluate what you believe in, who do you listen to, where do you get your information from. If you are also enrolled in college or university, this could be a period of time where you're evaluating your role within the university. There could be some miscommunications in that environment as well, but ultimately it's all about bettering your processes in relationship with this educational institution. Mercury will also form an opposition to Jupiter at some point throughout this retrograding period. Jupiter also being a planet that naturally speaks about the energy of wisdom and travel, but also a planet that brings a little bit of an exaggeration. So there could be a tendency for you to hear some truths that are not actually true, to hear some ideas or opinions that you may take on as truthful when in fact they're exaggerations. So it's very important to be rational during this period of time, and to be filtering through the information that comes through to you within the next 3 weeks. If you have your ascendant in Taurus, then Mercury will be transiting through your 8th house. The 8th house is the house of shared finances and resources and investments. So you could be having a reviewing moment over the assets that you have in common with other people. So this could be the money and finances that come from a marriage, or that come from a business, or that come in general as an inheritance, or that you would expect as an inheritance. The eighth house could also refer to stocks and investments, but also the eighth house could refer to the energy of other people's moral values, like psychology. So you could be feeling more analytical and introspective when it comes to the way that people around you think. And there could be a heightened interest in the topic of psychology. But overall, Mercury in the eighth house is going to make you also a deeper thinker during this period of time. So there could also be some nightmares that pop around because of this. Overall, it's important to be careful when you're making decisions when it comes to shared finances. So things like starting a trust fund, or getting access to a trust fund, or setting up an inheritance are usually not recommended. And maybe after December 15th, when Mercury will still be in your 8th house but no longer retrograde, that would be a better time to address that. Mercury will also form an opposition to Jupiter in the 2nd house for you throughout the next 3 weeks, which Jupiter in the 2nd house means that you have a desire to grow on your personal security and stability. So these decisions that you're making and these mental processes that you're going through are meant to push you to be thinking about how you can make more money in the upcoming period of time. So it is ideal to be rational about the decisions that you make, especially if it involves other people's resources in the meantime. If you have a Gemini rising in your birth chart, or if you have Sagittarius in your 7th house, then Mercury will be retrograding through your 7th house. The 7th house is the house of partnerships, one-on-one relationships, and also general business connections and one-on-one connections that we have with others. So Mercury, when it transits the 7th house, there's usually heightened communication or an emphasis on the intellectual connections that you have with the people closest to you, or with the people that you work on a one-on-one level. Now, Mercury retrograding through this house, especially because it's in Sagittarius, a zodiac sign that Mercury is not comfortable in, will bring a theme of evaluating the belief systems that you have with your partners, that you have with your romantic partners, spouses, or business partners as well. Mercury will also oppose Jupiter during this time. Jupiter in the 1st house means there's a desire for you to feel wise and to be accepted as a wise person. So you may be bringing some philosophies and ideas in your partnership that are not necessarily the right ones, or your partner could be bringing these philosophies and you're kind of counter-attacking with your own personal wisdom, which may oppose the opinion of your partner. It's important to pay special attention to what your partner's opinion actually is, because there could be a tendency to misunderstand each other during this time. You could be actually aligned but believe like you are not aligned, and that could create a sense of tension. So it's very good with whatever people you have a contract with, whatever people you have a relationship with, whatever best friend you have, make sure that you're not just assuming that you're on the same page, or you're not assuming that you're not on the same page, but you compensate with extra communication so that you truthfully know the other person's position in the matter. Great. If you have a Cancer ascendant in your birth chart, or if you have Sagittarius in your 6th house, then Mercury will be retrograding throughout your 6th house in the next 3 weeks, which is basically the house of the routine, your work environment, but also the house of healthcare and nutrition. So Mercury retrograde brings a desire and a need for review when it comes to, one, your work processes. There could be changes in the work that you do, or there could be changes in your office. The 6th house also refers to health, so there could be some health appointments that you're meant to go to, get some blood drawn, kind of check in with how your health is doing. This is not to say that something bad is happening, but it's a great opportunity for you to get organized in the sense and get a better understanding of where you can help your body get even better than it is. Mercury retrograde in the 6th house, just because this is also the house of the routine and nutrition, could also be a time where you are reviewing how you are eating and how you're meal prepping, what money you're spending on on food and how you can get more organized about feeding yourself. So generally the sixth house is all about the everyday mundane life and how you can make this better. Now, because Mercury retrograde usually brings a period of review, and because it's going to oppose your Jupiter in the 12th house, there could be some exaggerations that are happening. Jupiter in the 12th house means that maybe your subconscious mind wants something, or maybe there are some subconscious fears that you're having, some subconscious beliefs that you're having that you're not really aware of that are trying to control you in this process. So going to therapy also, or doing some journaling work, could be a really good opportunity for you to get a full understanding of what's happening in your body, or what's drawing you to certain routines, so that you can update them and in a way that they make better sense for you. Awesome. If you have your ascendant in Leo, or if you have Sagittarius in your fifth house, then you're going to have Mercury retrograding through your fifth house. The fifth house is the house of the creativity, fun, children, and also entertainment. The fifth house is also the house of gambling. I don't like to say that just because people tend to jump to it, but it is one topic of the fifth house for sure too. Now, because Mercury retrograde is a planet that speaks about technology, and then a retrograde means review, then we're definitely talking about a need to review the way in which you're having fun, in which you are enjoying yourself. This includes any romantic activity that you have going on. So some people during a Mercury retrograde period, they realize that they don't like how much fun they're having, or they don't like the person they're dating, or they want to change something in their dating life. Like even if you're married, if you have Mercury retrograding through your fifth house, you could be realizing, wait, I want to have more fun with my partner. Let's set up some new dates, or let's set up some new processes in which we can enjoy ourselves and like deepen the romantic side of the connection, not the partnership side of the connection. In other ways, the fifth house can also speak about creative projects. So if you have a creative project going on by any form, Mercury retrograde is kind of pushing you to review if it's working. If it's not working, what decisions can you make? What adjustments can you make to improve it? Interestingly, also, Mercury will be opposing Jupiter. Also in detriment in Gemini, Mercury in detriment in Sagittarius too, will be opposing each other throughout this period of time. Jupiter in the 11th house is kind of pushing you to want to have better connections with people and more connections with people, to socialize more, but you may find that you're not actually having fun with these people. So it's important to kind of evaluate, are you enjoying yourself with the people that you choose to have around you, or is it just an empty desire to have social circles around you that actually don't benefit you in the long run? So it's an evaluation not only of how romantic you want to be and how much fun you want to have, or how much you're investing into creative projects, but also what type of people do you choose to have around you in this process. Moving on, if your ascendant falls in Virgo, or if you have Sagittarius in your fourth house, then Mercury will be retrograding through your fourth house in Sagittarius for the next 3 weeks until December 15th. The fourth house is the house of family, the home environment, and where you're coming from, your roots. So retrogrades in the fourth house usually brings a period of review when it comes to your relationships with your family, or your relationship with your country of origin. There could be some changes in the traditions in your home, or there could be some conflicts in your home that you need to address. Because Mercury will be forming an opposition to Jupiter in the 10th house, this shows that this period of time is also pushing you to have more luck in your career and in how you are being perceived socially and publicly. And there's a desire for you to be seen as a wise person in public. But if there are miscommunications at home, or if family members lead you to doubt your intelligence, there could be some things that you need to review there. You know, how much importance do I want to give to what my parents think? Or what of my parents' ideologies have I inherited that are actually stopping me from achieving the growth that I'm seeking in my career? There could be some changes that you do in your home in terms of renovations as well. You could be realizing that, you know, something doesn't work for you anymore, or there's some reparations that need to be done in the family or in the home environment. So Mercury retrograde doesn't just bring the social dynamic in the family that needs an upgrade, but also your physical space could be seeing an upgrade too. Ultimately, what is interesting, again, because of this opposition to Jupiter, it seems like all of these changes seem to be stimulated by the desire to have an increased social status, so to be perceived as a wise person when it comes to your job, when it comes to your career, or when it comes to your relationships with authority figures. Moving on, if you have your ascendant in Libra, or if you have Sagittarius in your third house, then Mercury will be retrograding through your third house until December 15th. The third house is an interesting house because it's a house that Mercury usually feels at home in. And also the Sun will be here in Sagittarius for the next 3 weeks, so there will be a lot of emphasis on the topic of communication, communities, social media, and neighborhoods, and relationships with extended family members. When Mercury retrogrades to the third house, there are some small miscommunications that are happening or technology issues in relation to the people in your neighborhood or relation with the people that are part of your local community. It could be an online community as well. So whatever community you're a part of could be seeing a need for review. Because Mercury is in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is a zodiac sign that speaks about wisdom and about the desire to communicate the truth, to be truthful. Mercury in Sagittarius a lot of times has issues communicating truthfully, actually, or not truthfully, but communicating in a way that is harmonious and balanced. And because Mercury will also oppose Jupiter in the ninth house, it feels like you have certain philosophies and a desire to grow and a desire to learn that maybe your community is not sharing with you. And you could be feeling this tug of war between what your community wants and what you want for your own wisdom and what you feel like the truth actually is. There could be a desire to rupture with the community, so maybe to move neighborhoods or to have a fight with the neighbor, or simply to get out of an online community because you no longer resonate with its philosophies. Or it could just be that there are some belief adjustments that you are making yourself during this period of time. The third house is also the house of writing and publishing. So this is a great time to be journaling about what your beliefs are, about what's on your mind. It could really help you on a mindset growth basis. Moving on. If you have your ascendant in Scorpio, then most likely Sagittarius falls in your second house. But if you have Sagittarius in your second house and you have a different rising sign, this explanation is also for you. It means that Mercury will be retrograding through your second house, which is the house of finances, security, and personal stability. This is the money that you have in your own personal bank account. The second house could also mean your self-worth, your self-esteem. So how do you perceive your own worthiness? So Mercury retrograding through the second house basically is pushing you to ask yourself, how can I make more money? Or why am I not making as much money as I want? Because Sagittarius is also a zodiac sign that relates to international connections. This could be a time where you could be thinking how you can integrate your desire for internationalism with the art of making money. Or maybe you're always on the go, you're always traveling. Another interpretation for Sagittarius in the second house is that you make money using your higher wisdom, using your university education, higher education. So Mercury retrograde in the second house, it's all about letting you think, how can I make this a better connection between Sagittarius and second house? How can I make more money with my skill set? Or how can I make money while still traveling? Mercury retrograde also in the second house could be relating to an evaluation of your own self-esteem and self-worth, especially if you tend to have a lower self-esteem by default. Lilith also traveling your 12th house right now could be indicating that there is an evaluation of what's going on in your subconscious mind. Do you believe that you are worthy to be paid well, to be having fun while you're working? So definitely there are some evaluations when it comes to your financial situation. But again, because Mercury is retrograde, do not make large purchases during this period of time. This is very important. Don't buy new homes, don't buy new cars. Maybe research what home you want to buy or what car you want to buy, but it's more likely for you to be making the wrong financial decision. Jupiter in your 8th house, especially if it involves financial help that comes from the outside or getting a co-signer or anything like that. So yeah, you could be feeling tempted to be looking into making some new purchases also, but make sure that you're waiting until after December 15th so that the decision that you're making is going to be wise. retrograde. If you have your ascendant in Sagittarius, then Mercury will be retrograding through your first house. Now, Mercury in general, when it transits the first house, means that you're feeling more communicative as a person, have more ideas, your mind is much more stimulated, so there's more cerebral activity going on. This could be a time where you're stuttering a little bit more, or you could be struggling to express yourself a little bit, especially because Sagittarius, when you have it in your first house, you are a person that instinctively seeks truth, instinctively seeks expansion. Mercury in Sagittarius sometimes is too truthful or too direct, so that could be a symptom that you are experiencing. Jupiter in the 7th house, however, it does feel like there is some sort of growth that is happening in your partnership or in a personal relationship. There's more communication happening with the partner. So there could be some wisdom that you're bringing into your relationship with your extra communicative attitude. But overall, it's important not to make significant decisions when it comes to your appearance. The first house deals with your physical body, so maybe don't cut your hair unless you really know your hairstylist. Don't dye your hair if you've never done it before. Don't cut your hair if you've never done it before. Just make sure you don't make any rash decisions when it comes to your appearance, or you can make them, but wait until after December 15th so that there's a higher likelihood of success and you're going to be happy with how you look. If your ascendant falls in Capricorn, then you have your Sagittarius in your 12th house, or if you have Sagittarius in your 12th house, then Mercury will be retrograding through the 12th house. Mercury retrograding through the 12th house brings forth a period of introspection when it comes to your subconscious processes and also your relationship with people who need an empathic help or who we tend to forget about as a society. So going to therapy is an activity that usually is preferred during this time. Journaling, meditation, energy work, anything that involves working with your body on an unconscious, subconscious level could be very beneficial right now. Mercury retrograde will have very similar interpretations as for everybody, so recommended not to start new contracts, recommended not to make significant modifications or purchases in life. However, Mercury retrograde in the 12th house usually puts a greater emphasis on the mindsets that you have that are no longer benefiting you, so it's great to get a better understanding during this time of what's happening in your non-conscious part of your brain. Moving forward, if your ascendant falls in Aquarius or if you have Sagittarius in your 11th house, then Mercury will be retrograding through your 11th house. Then this means the 11th house is the house of friendships and social connections, and also technology in some cases, the innovation side of technology more so. Social media could also be a topic of the 11th house, and Mercury retrograde means that there is a review of things that are happening here. At the opposite side of the chart, there is a Jupiter retrograde also in Gemini in the 5th house. So your Mercury retrograde is going to be opposing this placement over here. There could be a review in what types of friends you have around you and what types of social connections you have around you. But most importantly, Mercury retrograding through the 11th house could be leading you to face what visions do you have for your future and what type of friendships align for you the best. It just seems the fact that the universe pushes you to have a little bit more fun during this time. Jupiter in the 5th house means that you are being pushed to enjoy yourself, to be expressing yourself creatively, so to be environments where you can express yourself without judgment. So if you have friends that are know-it-alls and kind of shut you down, this is a period of time where you could be seeing some conflicts that come up with them. There could also be some wisdom-related or philosophy-related issues when you're talking to people on social media. Keep in mind the ultimate push and pull between Mercury and Jupiter is that the universe kind of wants you to enjoy yourself a little bit more, but also to be attentive with how you express your creative desires. So the friends and the social setting or environment that you place yourself in is going to be vital for that success. Moving on, if you have your ascendant, I want to say in Pisces, this is the very last zodiac sign. If your ascendant is in Pisces or if you have Sagittarius in your 10th house, then Mercury will be retrograding through the 10th house. This means that there are some adjustments in your job, in your career, in your social status, and or with a relationship with an authority figure like a boss or a governmental figure. Mercury retrograde means that there is a review that needs to happen. So things are not happening as smoothly as you may want in your career, but ultimately it's all about improving your processes at work. You're feeling extra communicative, you're feeling extra smart, you feel like you have a lot of ideas that are meant to be heard in your job and in your career, but if they're not heard, that can cause a little bit of frustration. Keep in mind it's all about how you communicate these things, and it's all about patience, because when you have Mercury retrograde, things are not happening instantly. There's definitely the possibility for some technology outages or for some miscommunications to happen in your job, in your career. So make sure that you're being extra careful with how you're addressing these connections, and that you're double checking any information that you're sending across. At the opposite side of the spectrum, we do have Jupiter transiting your 4th house too. Jupiter in the 4th house brings a desire to expand in your private sector, so your family, your home environment, to be making some renovations. So you could be finding some happiness in there. It could be very beneficial to find the wisdom of your family members that can help you get through any issues that come up at work. But yeah, I would say this is pretty much everything that we can say about Mercury retrograde. So keep in mind, Mercury will be going direct again after December 15th. So this is only a 3-week period that you need to be more attentive to. And also, Mercury is only retrograde 3 or 4 times a year. So this is something that happens quite often throughout the year. It's not like Mars retrograde or Venus retrograde that happens once in a year and a half or once in 2 years. So it's not something that hits us that hard. It's something that's quite common. So try not to be scared about this transit that's happening, but be more attentive to the things that I mentioned, and also don't make any rash decisions during this period of time, and everything will be fine. If you have something that you want to improve on, however, this is a great time to be seeing what doesn't work, so that you could be making those improvements that will last for a really long time. So other than that, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to post them in the comment section down below. But other than that, you have an amazing day, and I'll catch you later. Bye.